Hey everyone, I saw episode 7 of Wheel of Time and I really liked it. I managed to avoid spoilers for this episode, um, but even though I've read the books plural, the show has made some changes, so I'd consider spoilers not the actual plot of the episodes, but the deviations within those episodes and within those plots. So let's start with deviations, and probably the only thing I was iffy on, which is the kind of conflict between Perrin, Egwene, and Rand. I wouldn't call it a love triangle because I think that would be reductive. I just question the choice to declare, strongly imply that Perrin has or had romantic feelings for Egwene, and with the added complication of implying that maybe he married his late wife because he settled for her, because he was in love with Egwene potentially. I just, it's I think plot wise and lore wise, you as a showrunner, you should and could and must do some changes because you work within a system. You work within a budget, within a set episode limit that you're given. Here it's 8 episodes, which I think is rather short, even though it's almost hour-long episodes, and some changes must be made. You have to kill your darlings anyway, and you do this by making shortcuts, merging characters, and so on. I don't think you should change characters fundamentally. I think you can change how they become and change, like a character can have some sort of a trauma happen to them, and that trauma might be too difficult to do on the screen, so you change the nature of it. But with Perrin here, I just don't think this is Perrin necessarily. Now the jury is still out if I like him as a character. I'm very meh on him right now. I don't have any strong opinions or feelings on him, which is interesting because in the books he was the most likable one from the onset. But now I'm just, okay, sure, interesting, they're going into that direction, but is it Perrin though, the book Perrin? Because I think everyone else is the approximation of what their character is in the books, for good and for ill, mostly for good. So that's probably the only negative thing that I have to say about this episode, and more like questionable than negative. The outright negative thing that is not a big deal, it's just CGI when they are in the ways, especially towards the end, as everyone's using one power and they're exiting the ways to get to Faldara. The CGI was really shoddy. It didn't look like it connected to anything or anyone, which is again strange because I guess conventional wisdom is, if you have to do heavy CGI stuff, do it in a lesser lit areas if you don't have the budget for it. So like If you're making a cheap horror movie and you need CGI, you're gonna make CGI in the dark because it's gonna mask some of the low fidelity of it. And they were in the dark. They were going through the ways, and the ways were pretty nondescript as far as the location goes, and the CGI still looked off. But yeah, I digress. Let's move to more pleasant stuff, because I think Perrin and Egwene aside, this might be my favorite episode so far, because just as its own, the opening cold open was the best so far. The opening with Tigraine, right, with Ren's mother and Tam, Tigraine being pregnant with Rand and fighting off wetlanders, and just incredible fighting choreography and the way it was filmed and framed. Absolutely incredible filmmaking. It's fantastic, and not a line of dialogue until Tam gets there. So it was just really well done. I honestly immediately rewatched this, which I never do. When I watch the episode, I watch it fully, then I watch it again just to gather my thoughts and write some notes. But this time I just went back and watched it 2 more times because it was really, really good. To move on, I think the biggest winner of this episode was definitely Lan, and by extension Nynaeve, because I had this biggest grin on my face when Lan had dinner with his fellow Malkieri people, survivors. And this is an example of a change, I believe. Again, I'm not an expert on Wheel of Time. I just read it through it once. I think this is a positive change, and a change that works, because in the books, Lan is incredibly stoic, and he's already a tragic character, but he doesn't have any emotional support apart from Moraine and Nynaeve later. And seeing this tender, loving, father-like relationship with a few survivors of his people did a lot for his character development. And the actor portraying him is just excellent. So I think it worked in the favor. This change absolutely was for a reason, and it paid off. And the chemistry he has and had with Nynaeve only adds up to it, because I honestly think that in these few episodes their romance flowed better than in the books. What I mean is the actual, let's call it, progression of their relationship was kind of ping-pongy. It worked within the context of 2 of their characters, and I think it's the best romance in Wheel of Time. But how Robert Jordan got there was pretty abrupt, like with anyone else he paired off. And here, through the sheer performances and direction, it just works. So I have no problem with showrunners, expediting the hookup essentially as fast as they did, because it doesn't feel rushed. It's fast, yes, but it's not rushed. And again, I think I made a similar comment about CGI in an episode before this. Again, there are cases where sets in CGI look incredibly well done within the same episode, where there are scenes where CGI looks not so great. Granted, here it was static, but still, from the onset, Faldara and everything within it, from afar, inside, looked like a convincing set. Yes, it looked like a set, and from the outside, when they exit the ways and look it from the distance, yes, it looks like a CGI model, but a really well done, believable one. Yes, a static one, not animated when they're doing magic using one power, but a well done one. It looked like it was physically there. And same thing with sets in Faldara, locations in Faldara. The bar Min tends to. Another plus. Min herself, I think, the actress, is excellent choice. She looks like she's slightly older than Rand, which I think is an interesting dynamic in the books. And Min in general is the most positive presence in Rand's life. And we find out some exposition through her, but I think there is something there. There is chemistry between her and Rand. And another thing that I wanted to comment on was just questionable, neither good or bad. Did Moraine just sick Red Aja on Matt? Because that was unexpected. It was the most unexpected thing in the episode. More unexpected than them revealing that Rand was, Dragon Reborn all this time, that he was subconsciously, I guess, channeling all this time, and that he is not of Two Rivers, Emond's Field, that he is of Aiel descent, and so on and so forth. It was just like she sent her informant to Moraine sent her informant to send a message to Red Aja to find Matt. Okay. Yeah, that was. Yeah. Essentially, this episode is a setup for the finale, since all of them are in Faldara spending the night before going to Eye of the World to have a showdown with the Dark One, and Rand at the end realizes and admits to himself that he is the Dragon Reborn. So he and Moraine go off on their own, and Lan stays behind with the other ones because Moraine has masked their bond, and this is where the episode ends. So overall, really enjoyed this episode. I hope for the future the not love triangle, but this relationship angle is moved aside, because one thing they do from the books is Rand's wish to become Egwene's warder at the very, very beginning. So I hope it just develops further on like it does in the books. They eventually just grow apart, realize that they're not meant for each other. Rand meets some other people, wink wink nudge nudge, and there's that. So that was about it from me. Thank you everyone for watching and supporting me. And thank you for those who support me on Patreon. And we have still one episode to go this week. So I am curious, how are they going to resolve this season? Because to be honest, the first book does end weirdly, in comparison to the rest of the series. So we'll see how it goes. Bye bye.